Welcome to the Eagles Call, a presentation of Athens Christian School, an in-depth look at what the Lord is doing through our students and families for the community of Athens and for Northeast Georgia. Tonight, we sit down with Dr. Buhl Cummings, co-founder and longtime headmaster of Athens Christian. We'll hear the testimony of the Kate family and how the Gold Scholarship Program helped bring their family to ACS. And we'll see what it takes to be a member of the ACS cheerleading team. 40 years ago, God called Lois and Buhl Cummings to start a Christian school here in Athens. But the Lord used them for the sake of the ministry for many years before that as well. Co-founder and former headmaster Dr. Buhl Cummings sits down with our own Lee McNeil to talk about how it all got started at ACS.
Hi, I'm Lee McNeil, and I'm here in the offices of Buhl Cummings, the founder and longtime headmaster of Athens Christian School. It's good to be with you here today, Buhl.
Nice to have you folks in to talk to us. It's a pleasure.
Good, very good. We're looking forward to hearing about the history, the foundation, and the vision that stood behind the foundation of Athens Christian School. Why don't you do this? Why don't you tell us a little bit about your history before Athens Christian School was founded? Because I know that a lot of people in the area only know you with regards to the school here, and I know that you had a ministry history long before you began the ministry here at the school.
Well, we did. We actually we came here from the mission field of Korea.
Right.
In Korea, we had done some survey work for some men that wanted to put some money into Korean missions after after the Korean War. Mm-hmm. And all we did was go over to, they paid our way to go over there to see if the man was honest, and he was a native leader,
right,
who had a vision of establishing a Bible college, which he has now. But the headquarters of that work was here in Athens, the Korean Evangelical Movement.
Okay.
So that's what brought us to Athens in 1957.
All right.
And the work went on. We continued to support it until 1970, when the mission, or when the natives took over completely. Okay. That's why you go to the mission field, to make it indigenous.
That's right. That's right.
But that is what brought us here. But however, that was really only about part-time work. Mm-hmm. We did a lot of child evangelism work back in those days, and we introduced a number of country churches to Vacation Bible School.
Right.
But you couldn't get materials. You had to go to Atlanta. So we got the vision of starting a Christian bookstore.
Okay.
Which we did back in 1958.
And what was the name of that store?
Athens Bible Bookstore.
Right.
It was on Lumpkin Street. Over the years, became a very, very good business. I mean, we sold Sunday school materials of all kinds, church materials of all kinds, even church furniture.
Right.
And then in Vacation Bible School season, we just lots of Bible school material. So it answered a need for this area.
Right.
But then we also had a youth work, mm-hmm, we call it the Christian Youth Crusade. Okay. Because there wasn't much youth, there weren't many youth ministers in those days.
That's right.
And now, of course, almost everybody has a youth minister. So we, twice a week, we met at the YWCA. They let us use their small gym, and we had a group of Christian people about our own age working with. They would bring young people in, and we hold meetings on Saturday nights.
Okay.
And that was a very fruitful work for many years, right? Good. And then as the years went on, more youth work was taken up by churches, so that work just kind of phased out. Okay. But those are two, and we also had a ministry down at the Parkview.
That's right. That's where you and I crossed paths.
Yeah, that's where we crossed paths down there. Exactly right. But however, nobody was down there doing any evangelistic work. Right. So some businessmen, Christian businessmen, bought a house, and we turned it into, and knocked down a wall or two and turned it into a meeting place. Went through all the homes, and the first thing we did was the first summer we were there, I think it was around 61 or 2, we started a Vacation Bible School. Yes. And then we said, okay, now you kids come back on next Sunday, because we're going to have Sunday school. So we did that, and really it grew, because they would bring other folks, and then adults started coming. Right. Then we got a real blow, because they were going to, see, that was low income area, poor housing, and they were going to completely wipe out what they called Florida Avenue. Mm-hmm. And that was where we had the home, because we couldn't buy in the project. Right. So it looked like we were finished, because but we went to the mayor. I'm not sure he was a Christian, but he knew the value of that mission work in that needy area.
Right.
So everything had to be cleared through him, even by the federal government. So his deal was, okay, you federal government, you go ahead and buy this home. But in return, they take that money, give it right back to you, and you give them 3 lots.
Yes.
Very good deal.
Right.
And on one, with the exclusion that we had to build something renewable on there. So,
Right.
So you and I know all about the brick church, but we built that brick church, believe it or not, for $13,000. That seems impossible.
Wow.
But that's what brought us here, and that were the ministries that we had before Athens Christian School.
So you worked with children and with education in your mission work
We
from the
did.
beginning.
We
That's
did.
good. That's
We've
good.
always been in children's and youth work.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, what was the driving thing that instilled this vision in you to establish Athens Christian School?
Well, like I say, we were in the bookstore,
Right.
and in the mid-1960s, of course, the Bible and prayer was taken out of schools in
Right.
America, and then things started to move toward people establishing Christian schools all across America. So people would come into our store and they would say, they say, our kids are out in the government schools, they're being taught evolution and secularism and humanism, and they say, why doesn't someone around here start a Christian school?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what we wondered, because there were large churches that had Sunday school classrooms and make excellent classrooms. And in fact, we wanted our own kids in a Christian school.
Right.
I talked to my wife, I said, we need to start a Christian school.
Right.
Because nobody else in this area has done it. Somebody should have. We went to see an old lady that we knew, we called her Granny Logan, and it was a good Christian woman that we had, we kind of adopted her, and she adopted us when we came here from the mission field. And she said, I've been praying for 8 years that someone would start a Christian school in Athens.
Praise God.
She went back into her bedroom and came back out. I don't have it with me, I wish I did, and wrote us a check for $100. And said, here, that was the first money ever given to Athens Christian School.
Praise God.
So almost like the widow's mite, this school was started literally with $100. So we noticed down on Millage Avenue a for sale sign of a very large home. It had been the home of a wealthy doctor. So we called the number, and it happened to be a friend of ours that we knew.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, listen, he says, if you want to start a Christian school in there, he says, I won't sell it to you for the money that it's worth. He says, I'll just rent it to you for $100 a month or $125
Wow. You
a
had your
month.
first month's rent.
Had the first month. We had the first month's rent. That's a good point.
That's right.
We put the first ad in the paper on Easter of 1970, April the 18th, which is also my lovely wife's birthday.
All right.
And on Monday morning, when I went down to the bookstore, opened up, I had not been in there 5 minutes. A lady came in and said, hey, I saw that ad in the paper yesterday about starting a Christian school. I want to get my kids enrolled right now. She says they're down, and I'm not going to mention the county, don't want to make enemies, but she says they're down there, and they're not getting an education on top of that. It's just full of evolution. And
Yes.
So I said, well, we are planning on starting next August. And that was the first. And as she was leaving, she says, by the way, I also teach first grade. I said, honey, I just signed you up.
Be sure to tune in next week for part 2 of our interview with Dr. Cummings.